Hi, I'm Barbara Stripling. I am President-elect of the American Library Association and a library educator at Syracuse University. One of my favorite banned books is To Kill a Mockingbird for a number of reasons. To Kill a Mockingbird has a history of being banned in various communities, and one of the reasons, and one of the latest reasons, is the use of the term nigger in the book, which is quite controversial, although appropriate for the time it was written. I'd like to read you just a short passage from To Kill a Mockingbird to give you a hint of the value and the joy that our students find in actually reading this book. Miss Carolyn began the day by reading us a story about cats. The cats had long conversations with one another. They wore cunning little clothes and lived in a warm house beneath a kitchen stove. By the time Mrs. Cat called the drugstore for an order of chocolate malted mice, the class was wriggling like a bucketful of catawba worms. Miss Carolyn seemed unaware that the ragged, denim-shirted and flour-sack-shirted first grade, most of whom had chopped cotton and fed hogs from the time they were able to walk, were immune to imaginative literature. Miss Carolyn came to the end of the story and said, "Oh my, wasn't that nice?" Then she went to the blackboard and printed the alphabet in enormous square capitals, turning to the class and asking, "Does anyone know what these are?" Well, everybody did. Most of the first grade had failed it last year. I suppose she chose me because she knew my name. And I read the alphabet as a faint line appeared between her eyebrows. And after making me read most of my first reader and the stock market quotations from the mobile register aloud, she discovered that I was literate and looked at me with more than faint distaste. Miss Carolyn told me to tell my father not to teach me anymore. It would interfere with my reading. "Teach me?" I said in surprise. "He hasn't taught me anything, Miss Carolyn. Atticus ain't got time to teach me anything," I added when Miss Carolyn smiled and shook her head. "Why, he's so tired at night he just sits in the living room and reads." "If he didn't teach you, who did?" Miss Carolyn asked good-naturedly. "Somebody did. You weren't born reading the mobile register." "Jem says I was. He read in a book where I was a bullfinch instead of a finch. Jem says my name's really Jean Louise Bullfinch, that I got swapped when I was born, and I'm really a—" Miss Carolyn apparently thought I was lying. "Let's not let our imaginations run away with us, dear," she said. "Now you tell your father not to teach you any more. It's best to begin reading with a fresh mind. You tell him I'll take over from here and try to undo the damage." "Ma'am?" "Your father does not know how to teach. You can have a seat now." I mumbled that I was sorry and retired, meditating upon my crime. I never deliberately learned to read, but somehow I'd been wallowing illicitly in the daily papers, in the long hours of church. Was it then that I learned? I could not remember not being able to read hymns. Now that I was compelled to think about it, reading was something that just came to me. As learning to fasten the seat of my union suit without looking around, or achieving 2 bows from a snarl of shoelaces. I could not remember when the lines above Atticus's moving finger separated into words, but I had stared at them all the evenings in my memory, listening to the news of the day, bills to be enacted into laws, and diaries of Lorenzo Dow. Anything Atticus happened to be reading when I crawled into his lap every night. Until I feared I would lose it, I never loved to read. One does not love breathing.